My name is Victor. I am the occult technician, and this is Mind War. Mind War is sponsored by Victory Work Apparel. Use promo code Mind War. Join the Mind War today. Enlist at patreon.com/mindwar. Now, back to the show. Welcome back to Mind War, folks. I appreciate you being here. We have a lot to cover today, so let's get started. Folks, now that we are in the section of practice from the book Magic History Theory Practice by Dr. Ernst Schertl, I've told you that I'm going to be sort of rapid fire sharing with you these different magical techniques that I've learned along the way. We've talked about the stare, right? We've talked about facing our demons in the black mirror. In the last episode, we talked about the reverse resonant energy balloon. Well, today's magical technique that I want to share with you is one that we've discussed quite a bit in the past, but I didn't give specific details the way that I think we need to today, and that is magical music, okay? Part of our magical preparatory process, again, you're going to ingest your low-dose THC and psilocybin after you have prepared your physical body, you've prepared your home, you prepared your altar, you're ready to practice music, you take your THC, your psilocybin, you wait an hour, you listen to one of the Gateway Experience tapes that gets you into the hypnotic state, the state of somnambulance, the state of sleepwalking. Then you can actually begin your magical practice using some of the magical techniques that we've discussed. And now one of the things that I've always said is when you're doing magic, when you're there at the altar, you need to be listening to music, some type of hypnotic trance-like music. Now, you can go out and find whichever music works best for you, okay? But the video that I've been using throughout my entire practice. So if you go back to my Instagram and you see any time where I've posted a tarot card pull, every one of those posts, I was listening to this exact video, okay? This video can be found on my YouTube channel. There's a playlist titled Magical Music, and it has one video in it, and that video is titled let's see here. Don't Sleep Halloween Edition. And the artist, his YouTube name is Evil Aesthetic. This video was dropped 4 years ago, has 235,000 views, and it's fucking amazing. Okay. And so what we see here in this video, and I believe that Evil Aesthetic, I do not know who he is. I believe that he is a magician and that he created these videos because he has several videos that are like this, and you can probably use just about any one, but I personally have really taken to the one again titled Don't Sleep Halloween Edition. I believe he made these videos for the exact purpose that I'm sharing with you, in order to listen to them while you are doing ritual and ceremonial magic. Because here's what he did. He took the video's about an hour and a half long, okay? So it's not just one music video, it's about a dozen. There's about 12 different songs on there, so I didn't count them out. Let's see. there are 14 songs, okay? And what he did is he would play one of the songs, and then in between each song, he would play an old horror movie trailer. Like if Nightmare on Elm Street Part 1 was about to come out in theaters, there would be trailers for the movie, and he takes those trailers and he interweaves them between the songs. It's so fucking perfect. This guy is an artist through and through and a magician through and through. This is his art. This is, my guess is that sometime in his life, at some point in his life, he felt this video and the videos that he boiling up inside of him, just desperate to get out. And this is the art that he created, and it's fucking amazing. So as you're listening to the music, okay, so now you're in the state of somnambulance. Those mushrooms are kicking the fuck in, boy. You are deep in it, right? You are hypnotized. You've self-hypnotized. You are in your room, you're in front of your altar, and you're ready to start practicing. You're ready to start staring into the black mirror. You're ready to start pulling the tarot cards, whatever the ceremony or ritual that you're about to conduct. And now you play the music. You use your same Beats headphones that you use when you listen to the Gateway Experience tape. The music starts to play, and as it does, it's so fucking crazy, right? So what you're going to do is you're going to breathe along with the music, okay? So now you're in front of your altar. You're breathing with the music, and I can't guide you through it at this point, right? I can't play any of this music for fears of copyrights. I'd rather not have this video taken down. But when you breathe through the music, you're gonna feel the natural rhythm of the music, and when you should be inhaling, when you should be, most importantly, holding your breath, right? This is where shit gets fucking crazy. As you're listening to the music and the crescendo starts to go up, boom, 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 right? And the crescendo, the music gets more and more intense. You are going to be holding your breath during those periods. Sometimes it can take up to 30 seconds or more of holding your breath, maybe up to a minute. So again, think of this. The psilocybin's kicked in. You are in your state of somnambulance. You have your hypnotic music. You're staring. You're using the stare technique to stare into your black mirror. You haven't blinked. Again, the stare is about not blinking. It's looking through the object, not blinking. So your eyes are starting to water. They're starting to burn a little bit. The smoke from the incense is starting to get into them. They're starting to burn a little. And now the world starts to kind of dissolve and change around you. Hallucinations that you would see sober if you were doing this, but when you add the psilocybin, boy, those hallucinations get even more intense, right? And so now you're staring, you're doing your breath work, you're doing your kundalini. As you are holding your breath, you're pushing the kundalini upwards, right? And you're holding that breath, the crescendo of the music, and all of a sudden the beat drops. Boom, 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 and you exhale. All of that intensity, whatever the emotions that you were having during this kind of build up, this crescendo upwards, you now exhale it. And you exhale all that emotion, whether it's anger or hatred, love, lust, whatever it is. And you push it into that black mirror. You push it into the tarot cards. You push it into whatever idol that you might be working with. You exhale it out. You exhale it and you visualize it going out into the universe, right? It's fucking so intense. So many of you have probably felt this. If you've ever taken drugs and went to a concert, you've felt what I'm talking about here. But In those instances, it's not you controlling it. You are being controlled simply by the music, the musician on stage, and they are harnessing the power from your feelings at the concert. They're doing magic, and they are siphoning your magical abilities from you in order for them to make a shit ton of money, be famous, all of the type of things that they do magic for, right? But here we turn it around and we make it personal. And so again, you're listening to the music. You're breathing along with the crescendos. You're holding your breath as the music goes upwards. You're exhaling as the beat drops. And you're releasing that energy. You're releasing that intensity. And then the music does it again. You're breathing in. You're holding your breath, these deep breaths. Again, the resonant energy balloon, you're building it as you're doing this. Maybe you're doing the reverse energy, resonant energy balloon because you're angry, you're full of hate, whatever it might be, right? As you're doing it, maybe you're pulling your tarot cards. We're going to get deeper into that tarot card technique in future episodes, but we're doing the work, right? Now, if you were just listening to, say, an hour-long video with back-to-back music and there was no breaks in between, I don't think that would work. Or if you were listening to some just extended song that went on for an hour and you just tried to stay in the state, maybe that works for you. Maybe that's something that you can try. Maybe you have a specific ritual or ceremony where you would need that. But here's the beauty of Evil Aesthetic. Here's where this man is an artist, okay? At the end of each song, and again, he doesn't just play the song and then play the trailer. He's an artist. He uses all sorts of auditory filters and changes that blend these things together, these two separate types of media. And so what happens is, at the end of the song, there's always this snap out of it moment. And that's very important. Just like when you do the Gateway Experience tapes, when Robert Monroe tells you to wake up, you fucking wake up. You don't keep your eyes closed and think, oh, feels so good, I'm just going to fall asleep. You listen to his instructions and you wake the fuck up. It's crucial. You have to snap out of it. You have to snap out of the hypnosis periodically. And that's the beauty of this video. You get about a 3 to 4 minute music, right? You're actually doing the ritual. You're doing the practice. You're practicing magic during the music. And then, boom, the trailer hits. You snap out of the state of hypnosis. You snap out of your trance. And then you prepare for the next song. Okay, for me, it's simply, in the beginning where you maybe haven't even picked up the tarot cards yet, you're just allowing yourself to kind of get into this flow, right? Maybe you just, normally I would just kind of shake it off, take a few deep breaths, maybe hit the vape pen again. Whatever you need to do during that small intermission of the trailer. You're not going to get up and walk away and start doing chores and bullshit. No, you're going to stay there. You're going to stay focused because you're in the fucking zone here, folks. This is going to be an hour and a half of focused magical practice, okay? Just like the Gateway Experience tapes, they're maybe 30 to 45 minutes. You have to wait 45 minutes for the psilocybin and the mushrooms to kick in and everything. These practices for me usually take 3 to 4 hours. It's a 3 to 4 hour commitment twice a month is what I do on the full moon and the new moon. Okay? This is my church, folks. And you're going to find yours as well, whatever your system of magic is. But again, the way that he works these tapes, or the way that he works the music in, this hypnotic, trance-like music in with the trailers, it's a perfect way to conduct your ritual. Again, once the trailer comes on, you can take notes in your journal. if you can. Sometimes the psilocybin kicks in so hard, you try to pick up that pen and write something, and it's just gobbledygook, right? Your hand can't even write. And another thing, when you're doing this stuff, be very careful trying to use your phone. When you are deep in the throes of psilocybin, trying to use your telephone, your smartphone, is the same as if you've ever tried to use your phone in a dream, right? You might have had a dream, you're holding your phone and you're trying to push the buttons, and the buttons are fucking swirling everywhere, and you can't really, you're just like, what the fuck? Why isn't my phone working, right? And then you realize you're in a dream and you go, oh, that's why. Kind of the same thing when you're on mushrooms and you're trying to use your phone, man. It's really hard to pinpoint what you're trying to do. Again, that's part of your preparation process. That hour or so before you even ingest the mushrooms, getting everything set up on your altar. The last thing that you want to do is have those mushrooms kicking in and you're like, where's my black mirror? I gotta find the candle so I can put it. No, you don't want to be doing any of that stuff. It all needs to be ready in advance. So again, the video is titled Don't Sleep Halloween Edition. You can find it on one of my YouTube playlists titled Magical Music. It's the only video that's in there. It's by an amazing artist and I believe magician who goes by Evil Aesthetic. And folks, before I saw this video, I never heard any of these artists. Oh, and a quick note, only listen to this video while you're doing the music or while you're doing magic. That's the only time you're going to listen to it. And that's going to be one of the most difficult, disciplines of self-discipline that you've ever done, right? Because it's such a good fucking video and the music hits so hard, you're going to want to just listen to it over and over and over again. But as you know, with music, if you find a song that gets you pumped up, gets the juices flowing, you're feeling energized and strengthened, and the testosterone's flowing and the adrenaline's flowing. When you listen to that music, you get all fucking pumped up. You listen to it 5 times in a row, and each time you hear it, it gets a little bit less. It works a little bit less than it did the time before. You might put a song on like I did earlier today. You turn it on, boy, them fucking tears just start rolling because it's a song that stirs your emotions. But again, you listen to it 5 times in a row and now you're like, it just isn't doing it anymore. So be very careful with whatever music you end up choosing for your magical practice. Again, I believe it should be something kind of trance-like. All of the music that is in this video is rap. I don't know if rap is the specific term that we should be using for this. To me, it's so much more. But basically, it's rap music, right? Again, I never heard of any of these artists before I found this video. There's, looks like Casket, SLVG, Witches Love Demons, West Liberty, Vistro, Casey Jones, DJ Delterra, HNKT, Shinigami Teneshi. Let's see, looks like Isaac, ISVVC, Graveyard, Giovanni 6, Red Hands, Freddie Dread, Sideswipe, Vincent Vega, and possibly more. Let's see if there's any more. Okay, holy shit, there's several songs on here, folks. I think there's, between the trailers and the songs itself, it looks like there's 24 or 25 different kind of videos put into this, right? But really just amazing music, great stuff. Again, it was all new to me, which was awesome. I didn't have to reach back into the, pretty limited playlist of music that I've had, been a fan of over my lifetime. But again, magical music. You have to find a music video that's going to go on long enough. Maybe you have to create a playlist, right? And the playlist is going to play one song after another. One of the things that I suggest, the same way with the Gateway Experience tapes, once you find a good version of the Gateway Experience tapes for free out there on the internet, record them, make a digital copy for yourself and keep it on your phone and on your computer. Do not try to stream the Gateway Experience tapes. That's going to lead to failure. A commercial is going to pop up in the middle of it and fuck everything up. Your Wi-Fi is going to drop and fuck everything up. You have to get a copy of it. The same thing with this here. I know there's copyright and all that bullshit. Go make a copy of this, download it to your phone, so all you have to do is hit play. And again, the beauty of it, I'm telling you, man, this guy, Evil Aesthetic, is such an artist. The horror movie trailers that he plays in this video, and I believe in all of his others, they're all from different movies, but when you listen, a story is being told between all the trailers. And it's a story that, for me, was very personal. It starts out in this darkness, this anger, this despair. And you hear the raw emotions in the beginning of this video throughout the songs and the trailers. And over time, it starts to talk more and more about all of the dangers and the evil that you face and overcoming them. And growing into something new and becoming the star and becoming a new person. And as you work towards the end of the video, it starts to show your success and talk of success stories and starts to really move out of that darkness and into the light, right? Such a wonderful video. Again, I've talked about before, at the end of my rituals, I often kind of find myself dancing, very lighthearted, even though I just went through very intense, dark processes, right? These rituals, these ceremonies are dark. They are scary. There is no fear here in the Mind War, but boy, I have scared the fuck out of myself doing this stuff. This is why we do it. This, again, back to the analogy of the man at the beginning of the Hellraiser movie. He has the box. He's there with the candles around him in the dark room. He knows that he is about to unleash something terrifying into his life. And that's what we do here. We look into that darkness. We volunteer ourselves to explore the darkness of the abyss. And we do it without fear. And it's just such a beautiful thing to do and to overcome. One of the things that I found throughout this entire process, this art project that I've been doing thus far, is again, that sort of emptiness that I had. I tried fitting in, whether it was friends at school and the different, am I going to be a skater? Am I going to be a punk? Am I going to be a jock? Am I going to be a nerd? A preppy? Whatever it is, you try to fit in, none of them feel right. You join the United States Marine Corps, maybe hoping that you'll find something there. I was proud to wear the uniform. I'm still proud of what I did. I'm so proud of the 20-year commitment that I made to the United States Marine Corps and the war on terror, right? I am very proud of what I did, but I also realized I was fighting someone else's battle, and we've talked about that. Here in the Mind War, the whole purpose is to fight your own individual battle. We are not soldiers in lockstep in some battalion marching forward all towards the same front line. We all have our own front lines, our own battles, our own Mind War battles, right? And it wasn't until I finally kind of got away from all of those external sources of purpose and finally looked inward and said, Victor, what do you want with your life? What do you want to discover? And man, the answer just came so quickly. It was, do all of the things that people have said are evil. Start to explore there. That's where you're going to start. All of the places that people said, don't go there. That's evil. That's scary. Don't do it. That's where I started. And I found so many wonderful answers. And again, many of them led to anger and hatred and frustration in the beginning because I started to realize my whole fucking life I could have been doing this. I could have been doing magic mushrooms were it not for the fucking monsters in our government, in the organizations, corporations, and institutions that rule our lives with an iron fist. They're the ones that demonized psychedelics. They're the ones that demonized psilocybin through magic mushrooms, put it as one of the highest classified dangerous drugs. Are you fucking kidding me? One of the few actual natural plant ingredients that have an effect on us, an open, real effect on us, and you demonize it, you say that it's awful, and you keep it from us. Fuck you. That's what we are fighting against here in the Mind War. You know, if there is a common battlefront, that's one of them. Taking back what is ours as human beings, as a part of nature. The magic mushrooms, the THC, tobacco, these things are gifts that were given to us. And yes, I said tobacco. We learned in the history section of the book Magic History Theory Practice by Dr. Ernst Schertl that some of the earliest magicians, that's all they had was strong tobacco. And folks, this is not an advertisement, but a few weeks ago, I broke down and bought a tin of Zyn, right? The little nicotine pouches. I've never been a nicotine guy. I smoked a cigarette when I was 12 and I hated it because I smoked weed first, and weed smelled so much better, tasted so much better, and I enjoyed the effects. I always hated cigarettes because both my parents smoked, so I think there was an aversion to them that was just kind of built into me, right? Because there's nothing worse than the secondhand smell of smoke, right? Of tobacco smoke. It's awful. Ashtrays, like to me, that's what smoking cigarettes was secondhand smoke, stinky breath, smelling it on their clothing, being caught in a car with them, and the ashtray and the cigarette butts. It's all disgusting. So I always stayed away from nicotine. But I heard that nicotine could play a role in alleviating some of the symptoms that I have with my digestive disorder. So anybody that's been watching for a long time, I've talked about I have this digestive disorder. It's very painful and damaging at times. It has aged me prematurely. And one of the things that Mother Mind War, my mother who passed away recently, she suffered from the same ailments, the same disease, I guess, right? And she, again, was a lifetime smoker. And she said anytime she tried to quit smoking, the symptoms would come back with a vengeance. And she would just be in pain in bed for months, right? And so she said that nicotine helped. And so, again, I started trying these Zyns. I got the lowest dosage, the 3 milligram Zyns. I pop one in every night where normally I would turn to the marijuana cigarette. I'd smoke a joint, maybe take an edible or two. I now find myself turning to the Zyn. Interesting. I think that you could use Zyns or any other type of smokeless tobacco as an option to get into your state of somnambulance. Because I tell you what, folks, when I first started the Zyn, I put it in for about 2 minutes and I go, holy fuck, I'm so fucking dizzy. Holy shit, I spit that thing out. I thought I was going to barf, right? But I didn't quit. I kept up with it and I learned how you're supposed to do it. You know, put it in the lip, keep it dry, don't soak it, you know, and take the whole pouch at once, right? You want to slowly let it seep in. And what it does, very calming, very relaxing, and it could be an alternative if you are unable because of laws and your desire to not break the law in wherever your jurisdiction is, it could be a good alternative to the THC and the psilocybin, right? Again, stay away from the alcohol. I don't think that alcohol is going to be a great alternative for doing magic. I think it's going to mess you up too much. Maybe if you're using alcohol in combination with a Zen and not even taking a full shot, maybe if you're taking a little sip in between songs or something like that, right? Maybe. I hate alcohol. I don't want it to be something that anyone does, but it could maybe play a role in what we do here. But again, maybe the Zens, who knows? But okay, folks, I've been rambling for a half hour here. My producer, the lights are flashing right now. He's yelling at me in my ear. He's telling me to fucking move on, Victor. We got to keep going with this episode. So again, in this final section, as we go through the Mind War series on magic, we are in the practice section, the practical application of magic, actually doing the magic now. I told you I was going to share several of these magical techniques, and today's magical technique is magical music. Again, the playlist on my YouTube channel titled Magical Music. The video is titled Don't Sleep Halloween Edition by an amazing artist and magician in his own right, Evil Aesthetic. And when we return, we will continue with our work through the book Magic, History, Theory, Practice by Dr. Ernst Schertl in just a moment. All right, welcome back, folks. We're going to pick up where we left off in the book Magic, History, Theory, Practice by Dr. Ernst Schertl. We are in the section of practice. We left off on page 92. And we're going to start with this. Nevertheless, something from the God sleeps in every human and could be aroused with the appropriate fertilization. Okay. Every human being, every human, again, has that drop of spirit that comes from the cloud we know of as God or the absolute or the cosmic dynamic force or the universe, whatever you want to call it. I like to visualize it as a cloud. And with each individual raindrop that comes from that cloud, that is our individual spirit put into each one of us. When we die, once the water of our physical body is fully evaporated, our spirit evaporates back into the cloud and we become one with the whole again. We are no longer an individual drop of water. We go back into the bucket, into the cloud. We become completely one. You're unable to ever pull that exact same drop again. And at that point, we are given access to, I believe, the Akashic Records, I think is and it's basically just universal knowledge. We get to experience every life that has come before us. We finally fully understand everything. We walk in everyone else's shoes, right? We get access to all of history through the eyes of each individual human being, through the eyes of each individual animal and plant. We experience it all. And it's because in each one of us, we have, as the author here says, something from the God sleeps in every human, right? A seed, if you will. And the author here says that it can be aroused in all of us through the appropriate fertilization. And again, when we talk about some of those non-playable characters, those humans that walk around that seem to not have a conscience, physiologically, they may not be able to. Their brain may not be able to even physically comprehend complex ideas like we talk about here. They may just not be able to physically think that way, right? I say that because dear Father Mind War suffers with end stage dementia. His mind at this point in his life is unable to have some of these complex thoughts. Now again, he was one of the smartest men I've ever known, a massive massive mechanical engineer, built huge machines, 2-3 stories high, that he would take all over the world. These were the machines that would build cars, right? And ammunition for the United States military. Shh, don't tell anybody that part. But again, there may be physiological barriers to fertilizing the God seed that's within us, to understand these more complex thoughts. But physiological barriers might not be for everyone. There may be a lot of people out there who could do the work that we do, but they choose not to. They live in the illusion. Remember, we've talked about this. So many men out there, they love the illusion more than reality. They would rather live in their lie. And we see them all around us. We see them out protesting today. What is it, October 18th or some shit? I don't even know. It's a Saturday. And so they're currently on the news. There are a bunch of fucking old white boomers protesting across the country for No King's Day. Who fucking knows? These are the retards. These are the profane idiots that we're talking about, who live in their illusion. And they're the most dangerous profane amongst us. We can look at the thug who has low impulse control and pulls his gat and lets it rip. They're easy. They're easy to understand, and they're easy to deal with if we could finally just take our fucking gloves off and deal with them for once and for all. They're easy. The difficult ones to deal with are the retards. Those fucking boomer morons who are out there protesting right now. They are the sickest among us because they know better. They have the knowledge. And they do it to be those consummate contrarians, constantly just gaslighting you. Telling you what you see with your own eyes isn't true. They're the ones we hate the most. And they're the ones that are going to receive the most extreme punishments. Sometimes in life we find that the slightest crimes amongst us deserve the biggest punishment, because they're the ones, those small crimes, they're the ones that do the biggest damage. But not much seed comes up due to the inappropriate milieu which grows out of the profane benchmarks and tendencies of the mass. Again, folks, I didn't reread this book prior. I didn't read through all this stuff in preparation for today. I just read these things and I talk off the top of my mind. And then as we continue through the paragraph, usually what I say mirrors exactly what is talked about by the author here, not because I'm some kind of genius and came up with it on my own, but because I've read this book multiple times and the information with it has seeped into me. It has become my, I don't want to say belief structure, but a thought structure. This book has changed the way that I think. This is what demonolatry is about. I haven't mentioned that word in quite a while. We call it magic or whatever, right? But demonolatry, which is specifically what I work in, that's what it is. It's a slow and purposeful changing of your mind. Now, this is the beauty, man. When I say changing my mind and growth in my knowledge and my belief system, it's not because I didn't believe these things early on. These are the beliefs and thoughts that I've always carried in my heart and in my mind. But I was constantly stifling this information and these beliefs and these thoughts because of cultural, societal, and religious wet blankets. I was constantly being told that's not how you should be thinking. But instinctually, internally, from the very beginning, this is who I was. And it's only through me taking the reins of my own life was I able to come down here and rediscover the truth that's always been inside of me. And it's the exact same type of things that we learn from Dr. Ernst Schertl, from Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aguino, from Robert Monroe. All of these men are teaching and sharing the internal universal truths of man. Not external artificial lies in the form of religion that you have to do all sorts of mental gymnastics in jiu-jitsu to get yourself to believe in. And even when you can try to convince yourself, because this part of the book refers to this part of the book, and oh, look at that, oh, it's all, you have to lie to yourself in order to believe those things. And that's why it's always empty. It's always empty and artificial. It's not until you remove those things from your mind and from your heart that your true self can come and find the information that was always inside of you. Because that's all we're doing here. All I'm doing by reading this book and sharing it with all of you is just reiterating my own internal instinctual thoughts. I'm seeing that some other man in history, this Dr. Ernst Schertl wrote this in the 1800s. We share the same thought processes. My guess is that we came from the same ancestral line. These are the truths that are built into us. And again, but not much seed comes up. The seed, the plant, cannot grow due to the inappropriate milieu, the cultural, societal, and religious wet blankets that are forced upon us. That is the inappropriate milieu. I love that fucking term. This inappropriate milieu, which grows out of the profane benchmarks and tendencies. Who are the profane? Those fucking mindless, unconscious morons who just follow whatever the next organization, corporation, and institution tells them to follow. And those are the masses. That's the mass of the profane. The hordes of the profane that are in front of us. In so many ways, it's their thoughts. It's their beliefs that are our enemies, not their physical bodies. Their physical bodies are not our enemies at this point until they use their physical bodies to come at us with physical violence. It's just their thoughts that are our enemies, that we have to fight back with our own thoughts. And it's so easy, man. Because once you find the freedom of thought, you see other people that are under that mind control from whatever it is, right? Whatever organization, corporation, or institution that's controlling their mind. It's so easy to see through it. But it can still be difficult to convince them of that. And that's what we have to do. We can't save them all. It's not the goal here. Our goal through the mind war is to reach out to each and every individual, mind warrior, citizen, samurai, guerrilla, guru, and warrior monk, who is willing to take up the flag and fight the mind war. Excuse me. Dude, this next part that I'm going to read, again, was written in the 1800s. The mass of today lives only materially. This is over 100-year-old book. It sounds like it was written from today. The mass of today lives only materially, but not with the body. It feels only intellectually, but not with the soul. The masses of today live materially, but not with the body. Meaning you will eat junk food until you become a big, fat, rotten, gross, dying, unhealthy piece of shit. That is living materially without your body. Poisoning yourself over and over and over again. These profane masses, they feel only intellectually, but without the soul, again. They're going to live by slogans. These are the people who live by slogans and headlines. They don't read the articles. They don't read the white papers. They don't do long-term research into anything. They're mindless morons who live off of slogans. They think they know things intellectually, and they think they can mimic the soul. That's the worst part about them. Is they mimic empathy, but they use empathy as a weapon against us. Oh, shouldn't you feel bad for all the illegal aliens that are here in the country? No, I do not. Especially when they're here, bringing with them crime, bringing with them the drugs that ended up killing one of my childhood best friends, my buddy Nate, who died of fentanyl. Who the fuck do you think brought that fentanyl into this country? Do you think it was some high-class, intellectual, white, European, American? No. My guess is it was some filthy third-world piece of shit who is bringing these disgusting chemical concoctions that were cooked up in some fucking Asian lab over in China, or at least the material was brought down to Mexico or South America where they mixed up their fucking potions in order to take over the minds of some of America's greatest people. Think of all the people in the last few generations that have been destroyed by the drugs of the fentanyl, the heroin, and the Oxycontin bullshit that came from before it. Think of all the beautiful people. The article that I saw is almost 30% of Gen Z was aborted. These are the people that should have been amongst our ranks in the mind war. My friend Joey, aka Dayog, a member of a Judeo-Christian cult called the 12 Tribes. You can find them at 12tribes.org. They're the ones that run the yellow delis. His mind was stolen by false ideology. In the same way that my friend Nate's life was taken from him through the use of fentanyl. I'm tired of losing my fucking friends. And that's why I fucking fight! That's why I come here and I put myself on the fucking line every Sunday to share with you my hatred, to share with you my anger. This isn't a fucking joke. I've already lost my friends. I've already lived a life of illusion. And I won't do it anymore. This is why we fight! Even the child is compulsorily subjected to these tendencies. This is called general education and upbringing to a practical life, with the ideal of a useful member of human society. They start this shit when we are first born. They attack us on the 8th day of our lives by circumcising us and putting us through one of the most horrific traumas that human beings can do to another man. That's where it starts. And then they put us into their fucking industrial strength education systems and destroy us so we can become useful members of the human society and build their organizations, their corporations, and their institutions. One almost has to be a genius today to live such a harmless, sacred life as every sow herder did in the past. You have to be a fucking genius today to live outside of the organizations, corporations, and institutions that have polluted our minds, poisoned our bodies, and corrupted our souls. I've talked about this before. The magician is the highest order of man. We are genius in our work, in simply standing up against those things that come against us, that are constantly trying to hold us down. The author calls us genius in what we do, and that's exactly who we have to fucking be. The most important means of magical awakening, besides the general milieu, has always been the contact with an already awakened great one. You're now in contact with one of those. Just the mere presence in an environment pulsated with a magical stream is enough to let a great deal of seeds blossom out. But for the awakening of the last and living breath of a great initiated one is necessary and not replaceable by anything. Such breath is already preserved in books. It's why in this podcast, from episode 1, we work through the books. I'm not here telling you that I came up with any of this stuff on my own, but I share it with all of you, what I've learned from the great ones who've come before me. And now, because they have passed and their physical bodies are no longer able to use their breath in order to express the information that they have gathered, I do it on their behalf. I use my physical breath until my very last breath to share this information with you. And I know, man, those numbers are down. I get about 4-5 views per video. I get that. But there will be a day where these videos, this message reaches the mass of profane. And when we do, we're going to pick out each and every one of those mind warriors, citizen samurais, guerrilla gurus, and warrior monks who are willing and able to be awakened. One should therefore also not believe that one could be able to learn magic from this present book, but one can only obtain guiding principles from it, in which oneself and fate still have to insert the irrational factor of the living. Again, you are not able to learn magic from a book, but only the guiding principles of magic. And that's all I've ever shared with you. I haven't taught you magic. I haven't told you what you're supposed to believe and the purpose of what your magic should be. I've only shared with you some of the guiding principles. Because ultimately, it takes oneself and fate. They still have to be inserted into the irrational factor of the living. We are the living, and sometimes life is very irrational. This fertilization from an individual living great one is one of the rarest occurrences today. If you are a mind warrior, citizen samurai, guerrilla guru, or warrior monk listening to this podcast right now, you are engaged in one of the rarest occurrences that can possibly happen. You are having a magician share with you the guiding principles of magic, not esoteric fairy tales, not occult monsters in their deep hidden meanings. No, I'm openly, honestly, and in a very fucking raw way sharing with all of you the simple things that were shared with me by the great ones. But every diffuse living tradition also disappeared. So it is no wonder that the magical existence is in worse shape than ever before. If that's not true today, man. We see people who are quote unquote practicing magic all over social media. And again, I'm not trying to discount a fellow practitioner. But if their practice in magic is an equal equivalent to a televangelist trying to share the gospel, then it's just empty calories. It's just another lie. Most are dependent on dabbling on their own account, or they fall prey to one of the existing occult sects whose leaders also generally have no deeper knowledge and no deeper capabilities. So again, you find yourself in a desperate position and you begin to dabble in the occult, and most are going to fall prey to one of the existing occult sects or cults. And the leaders of those cults generally have no deeper knowledge or no deeper capabilities than anyone else. And often they are in it for themselves. Your buddy Victor here. What the fuck have I asked from you? What? Buy a t-shirt from Victory Work Apparel over on Etsy so you can walk around with the sigil, my symbol on your t-shirt? Okay. I think I've sold one t-shirt and one hat to the same guy. Thanks, buddy. I appreciate it. I've asked you to join the Mind War over on Patreon. I think I have 3, maybe 4 members, and I appreciate every one of you. And the $19 a month that comes into my account there. I am not benefiting in any way from this podcast. Not financially. I've communicated very, very rarely with just a few of you. I'm not making friends. I don't have a cult of people, of followers and worshipers who are like my buddy, again, Joe Deog over in the 12 Tribes cult. When you go into that cult, you give them everything. You give them all your money, all your possessions. No one's done that for me. That's not what's happening here. I do this work because sharing it with all of you is all that I want. It's my success. Sharing this information with you is my form of success. It's not monetary. It's not becoming famous. It's not any of the bullshit that I thought that I wanted when I started. I might leave this in for you folks so you can see the reality of what I do. Today's episode is not brought to you by Pure Leaf, no sugar, real brewed, unsweetened iced tea. They are not a sponsor. I don't do this work for monetary gain. I don't do this work for fame. I do this work because it is it's all I've ever wanted. I finally found the information that I've searched my entire life for. At this point, I can't use the information the way that I would have in the past. I think if I would have had this information from a young child, I would probably be a much more powerful individual than I am today. I look back at the years, the decades of drinking alcohol, dulling myself, hating myself, being depressed. And that's what drives me, knowing that there could have been a different option. The option that we're learning here. It didn't have to be this way. It didn't have to be a life of sadness and depression, anger, unhealthy habits that have led to the detrimental health that I deal with today. It didn't have to be this way. But in this current life that I'm living, maybe it did. Maybe there was no other way for me to get to where we are today. And maybe it was through my sacrifice that led me here to share this information with all of you. With all these kinds of popular occultism, the possibility to come on a shallow track is enormously reasonable. And one arrives much too easy at the conclusion to consider volatile, superficial formations of the psyche and perceptions which are only based on peripheral nerve irritations as magical revelations and wear oneself out in it. Again, the peripheral nerve irritations. That's taking mushrooms, taking the tobacco, taking the THC, right? The superficial formations of psyche and perceptions. Those are simply whatever feel-good slogan that you want to hold on to while you're pulling your tarot card one after another. It's not how it works, man. You're just gonna, like the author here says, you're just gonna wear yourself out. When we return, we're going to continue on with my magical journey over on Instagram at The Occult Technician in just a moment. All right, welcome back, folks. We're going to continue on with my magical journey over on Instagram at The Occult Technician. You're going to scroll all the way down to a post from August 4th, 2023. That post is titled All Seeing Fire. Now, we're going to kind of try to quickly work through some of these because I just heard the squeaky little voice of the Moon Princess upstairs, and to be honest, I would rather be spending time with her right now. But since we are already in the process of recording this video and it's been extremely intense so far, I want to carry it on as we go through this. Again, back to the post from August 4th, 2023, All Seeing Fire. I take a one of the original wooden art pieces that I made, a physical piece of art, This was again a kind of pyramid style that we see here, but I made it primarily out of gold spray paint. And then at the top of the triangle, it was green in order to represent money. And then we had the all-seeing eye in there. And I took that piece of wooden art like I did in the past, and I burned it in the fire pit. And again, this was the artistic representation of kind of moving beyond the current system that we're in today and truly bringing about the New World Order, truly bringing about a cultural shift. And we'll see where it leads. That shift, that change is happening rapidly. I love watching it. I love seeing the progress that's being made. I believe that we live in one of the most exciting times in human history, and I'm so thankful to be a part of it. And that's kind of what this represented. You know, a lot of people may see it as, anti, New World Order or whatever you want to say, but that's never really where my standpoint has been. We have to move forward. We were promised a new world, and we were promised a new order. In moving into that golden era, that golden age, the age of Aquarius, the age of enlightenment, this is what it looks like. It's ugly. It's going to be brutal at times. It's going to be difficult. And those of us who are at the leading edge of this cultural change, we will be called evil. And that's okay. So our next post from August 17th, 2023, a new moon tarot pull, and we pulled Lucifer. Lucifer is the spirit that guides the Mind War podcast, because it was the very first episode of the Mind War podcast started in August of 2023. That's when I recorded the first episode of Mind War. And I dedicated not only that episode, but the entire podcast to the spirit of Lucifer, that spirit of knowledge. That spirit of knowledge that we're supposed to be told to be afraid of. We're not supposed to look in that direction of the fallen star. The devil, as this card calls it. But I knew he held knowledge for me, because I've heard so many other men say the same thing. We often hear that some of these secret societies and stuff, that's who they truly worship, is Lucifer. Maybe they're onto something. As you go through the photos, you can see the Mind War Studios here draped in red. Some of my art is still in the process of being created. I used some new lighting techniques. That was fun. And then on the last photo, I used a white cloth upstairs to display the card of Lucifer. Now, the next post from August 20th, 2023 is my first attempt at kind of a Mind War promo video. This is really me displaying all of my costumes, really showing you the Mind War Studios and all of the, almost a behind the scenes way. Again, very artistic, great music there. West Liberty, again, that music comes from the Don't Sleep Halloween Edition video that we talked about earlier. Okay, and so let's see. We're going to end it with the next post from August 20th, 2023. And this is the post, let's see, it's just titled Mind War. And this is me becoming Victor for the very first time. So I'm gonna pause my my video there. So what you see in this video, again, is a behind the scenes. This is me putting on the costume of Uncle Vic for the first time. Okay, and I'm playing a song from a band called Departure Chandelier. And the song is called Life Escaping Through the Candle Smoke. A beautiful song. I wish I could play it right now for you, but please go find, I'll try to put a link in here. Again, the band is called Departure Chandelier, Life Escaping Through the Candle's Smoke. And as we go through the video, basically I'm putting on the jacket, I'm putting on the rings and the necklace and the glasses and becoming Victor for the first time. And as we go through, I'm going to read the lyrics as this video plays, because they truly encapsulate what we're doing here. And so we're going to see as those lyrics come up. I'm walking over, I'm grabbing the jacket off of the wall there. And again, man, this is really early on in my artistic, process here. And this was sort of embarrassing to do. This is far outside of anything that I've ever done, right? Becoming a character, creating a character like this, and then sharing it with the world. I mean, this is a lot, right? So the first lyric here, it says, I am walking slowly. I am walking slowly with my candlestick and my cloak into the night. Okay. I am walking slowly with my candlestick and my cloak into the night. Now you're going to visualize that. You're going to visualize yourself in, let's say, a dark forest. You know that there's a path ahead of you, but you can't see it. And so you take your candlestick and you light it. And you have just enough light to see a few feet in front of you. And you see the path in front of you. You don't know where the path leads, but you have this strong compulsion. You have this strong compulsion to walk forward into the darkness. It's what we've been talking about. I didn't know why I started this art. I started building the physical art you would see in front of me even before I began my magical practice. All of it. Long before I started what we're doing here in the Mind War. And yet I still kept going. I kept walking one step after another into that darkness. Not knowing what I was going to find, but knowing it was worth the work, worth the journey. And it says here, we are moving, again, the lyrics here, it says, we're going away from society and love. I knew that when I started this practice, when I started practicing black magic, the dark arts, that it was against society and away from love. I knew I was moving towards hatred, moving away from societal norms and the dangers that come with that. Because again, we still have those instinctual village type, instincts within us where we want everyone to always be happy with us so they don't kick us out of the village and then we starve to death out in the woods, right? But I knew I had to keep going. Even with the external pressures of maybe not directly from people. Yeah, again, my family and friends didn't like what I was doing. But the external pressures of society and culture. Those wet blankets I speak of. We had to walk away from them. And as we go through here, it says again, we go away from society and love and going towards hatred. I purposely and consciously walked towards hatred. Because again, It's the masses of the profane that hate what we're doing. I saw the masses of profane in front of me with their torches, with their pitchforks, wanting to destroy me before I even took the first step on that path. Instead of just turning around and joining them, I walked through them. I walked towards their hatred. Anything that we've been told by society, culture, and religion to hate, that's what I walked towards. And that's where I found truth. So I'm continuing. Not only were we walking towards hate, but the next lyric says we are walking towards hatred and death. If that doesn't perfectly describe what we saw in the Gateway Experience series here in the Mind War, we got to know death better than most. We experienced it to the best of our abilities by learning the Gateway Experience advanced techniques of out-of-body, astral travel, astral projection, remote viewing. We left our own body. We explored the layers of death that lie beyond life. The different layers. Remember, Robert Monroe talked us through the different layers that lay beyond the earth after we die. All of this culminating in the death of my mother during that series. I walked away from society and love, and I walked towards hatred and death. And because of that, I have one of the most epic stories ever told in media. And you're watching it right now. And the next lyrics is the most important. And that lyric is this: as you walk towards hatred and death, and it says, and this would be my choice. This was my choice to do this work. No one was forcing me. No one was guiding me. There was no 10-step, program that I could follow along this journey towards hatred and death. There is no guidebook into the abyss. There may be esoteric stories that kind of get around the edge of the abyss and how to get there and how to maneuver in it, but nothing like we've seen here in the Mind War podcast. No one has laid it out as clearly as your friend Victor, the occult technician. And it was my choice to do so. So we continue on here. I'm putting on the Generation X ring. I'm straightening my tie. Well, Uncle Vic doesn't wear a tie, but next we see that I am putting on the apron, which we're not going to talk about anymore right now, but we will be talking about in future episodes of the Mind War. A very important topic, that apron, how it came about and what it means to me. And we continue through this video. It goes on for another minute here. Let's see. The lyrics continue. I'm leaving this world of beauty. And again, back to the analogy of the man at the beginning of the Hellraiser movies. The world of beauty is behind him, easily accessible, calling him back. Please Please come back. Don't open that puzzle box. But he knew, just as I knew, that in order to gain some type of truth, you have to leave the world of beauty. You have to go into the darkness. It says again, I am leaving this world of beauty to enter darkness. And that's exactly what I've done over and over and over again. Scientifically, systematically, every 2 weeks, going through the preparatory process of getting into the state of somnambulance, visiting the abyss through astral travel over and over and over again, having no fear, because there is no fear here in the mind war, staring into the internal infinite darkness that we came from and that we will return to. And I promise you folks, it is the best place you've ever been. It's for the very first time the natural place for your soul. It came from darkness. It's going to return to darkness. It's nothing to be afraid of. It's comforting. It should strip away any fear of death that you may have. So I'm continuing to put on the gloves here. I'm continuing to adjust my uniform. There's some symbolism as you see that I'm standing in front of the mirror. You're actually seeing Victor there in the mirror. Again, the lyrics, I am leaving this world of beauty. As I put on the dark glasses, I leave the world of beauty to enter darkness. Voluntarily, we enter the abyss. We do it without fear. There's no one pushing us to do this work. We know internally that it has to be done, that there's no other way, there's no other option. And at the end of the video, basically I was recording that video with a security camera that I have, and I kind of wanted to make it look like Victor didn't know that he was being recorded. So at the end of the video there, he kind of notices the security camera or the all-seeing eye above him, watching what he's doing. And when he's alerted to it, he grabs towards the camera and shuts it down. So one of my favorite videos, one of my most artistic videos, an early video that I'm very proud of still to this day. Again, that was from August 20th, 2023, just titled Mind War. That is me becoming Uncle Vic. This has been an amazing episode, very powerful, full of raw emotions, full of anger in so many ways. I hope that I expressed it to you in a digestible format. I hope it arouses in you some of those same feelings. I appreciate you being here. And as always, remember, folks, harden your hearts and open your minds, because this is Mind War.